Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, pirates on the high seas. Duuz-Diz-Din back once again with more One Piece. Where previously, Luffy and Zoro, unbeknownst to them alongside Nami, had met Scopper Gaban, who had tested the mettle of Luffy's character before handing over the key to unlock Loki, whereas the Gods Knights, Shamrock and Gunko, summoned two more members to take the children of Elbaf, killing him with the power of the Kirin fruit, and despite what most people know about Kirin, has the ability to manipulate dreams and nightmares. And Summers, of the Shepherd family, same as one of the elders, with the ability to summon thorns. Although Shamrock does end up leaving for another mission, something going down in the Holy Land of Marijois, three Gods Knights are still a problem. So as Luffy and Zoro head to the underworld to unlock Loki, who is beaten up, the giant warrior pirates, alongside Sanji, try to stop them, only for Loki to already be freed. Meanwhile, the Walrus School is attacked by giant monsters made from the children's nightmares. All the while the children are abducted. While the freed Loki uses his hammer Ragnir, well, he's not fully freed, he still has one manacle on at that point, but he uses his hammer to summon down a lightning bolt that sets one of the branches ablaze. And, well, Elbaf being on top of a giant tree, specifically a giant fossilized tree, is very susceptible to fire. And unfortunately, the kids are being led in that direction while sleepwalking. While the monsters themselves are somewhat easy enough to deal with, it's actually taking the children and keeping them from walking into the blaze that's the hardest part, as when Saul tries to touch him, he's pierced by Summer's thorn. If he tries to stop them from the front, the kids start to impale each other on the thorn. So he has no choice but to pick them off one at a time with rope in order to get them away from each other and stop them from moving. Extinguishing the fire becomes difficult too, as one of the monsters takes out the fire brigade. Wouldn't you know it? Luffy, true to his word, goes for the knockout on Loki, which isn't that hard because he's already badly injured. Luffy honestly just taps him with a giant fist and he goes down. And per Luffy's request, Garrett treats Loki's wound. But Harden, well, past memories all trudge up once he sees his brother's face. The insults to his mom, the apparent murder of his father, Harden's ready to take his brother's head. And while the others stop him, Loki denies killing their father in cold blood. But can Loki be believed? He is Loki after all. Meanwhile, Frankie and Ripley end up encountering Bonnie and Lilith at an ancient robot lab? Kinda hard to say. That predates quite a lot of things in the One Piece world, though they are also attacked by the monsters. While the other Straw Hats back in the Western Village try to join in the fight, only for Elder Jarl to try to keep them at a distance because, they're their honored guests after all. But Nami comes clean about what she saw, taking the Elder to the guards of Ara's castle who were injured, informing them about someone who looks like red-haired Shanks. I love that they continue to say it's someone who looks like Shanks, but, again, they've been allies with Shanks for a long time. It's easier to believe that it's maybe just someone who looks like him. But everyone surmises devil fruit powers, trying to take the children, but they don't know why or how or what. They just know they need to save the kids. But the Elder still wants them to stay put, and naturally they don't, as they spot Colin, who was also denied joining in the fight, trying to board his own little svar. And so the Colin pirates are formed with the rest of the Straw Hats. Although Dory and Brogy, after taking a wicked leak, come back into the fight alongside none other than Scopper Gaban. So, hey, everybody's getting word of going in and trying to help out. That means things should be A-okay and hunky-dory, right? Well, join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, jumping into the chapter, we have a nice color page, I guess in honor of the anime returning, which I already started on those episodes, check them out on the channel, trying to catch back up with the anime as well, but a nice little page. Illustration by Midori Matsuda. Okay, cool. Nice little tribute, nice little honor. Good to see, and even Luffy and Chopper and everyone is all excited seeing Gear 5th Luffy. Alright, let's jump in. Chapter 1145, Wildfire in Forest Sector 2, Branch Route 8. Very specific. And you see the still shackled page 1 being held by Ulti, who's just happy that her brother is alive. As Yamato just, I don't know, is she not trying to acknowledge them, or is he just being kinda, I don't know, stoic? Hard to tell with Yamato. Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage Volume 30, Pei still alive, despite all the odds. I do wonder why they got into a fight with Who's Who. Was it just because they're just like, yeah, hell no, we're not following you, or something like that? Alright, let's jump in. Okay, is it just one of the creatures from the underworld? Because it's not in the same art style as any of the nightmare monsters, but Goldberg says to his shield, here it comes, Nash. Goldberg and Nash. Nash, Goldberg. Okay. Yeah, they are named after wrestlers, aren't they? Because I actually recognize those names. Oh man, it's been a while since I've watched any kind of wrestling. Man, I wonder if we'll get anything like Booker T or anything. But Goldberg says his shield is shocked, like, huh? And as his shield increases in size, which is kind of cool. Is it a homie? It's gotta be a homie, right? It feels like a homie. The shield increases in size, though it's terrified, saying, wait, as the Brontosaurus-like beast goes in for the bite. Goldberg says Nash as he holds his ground, and Nash hardens up and takes the hit, completely blocking it. Ooh, okay, combo attack. Zoro jumps onto Sanji's leg as Sanji calls out, Delaire, assault! As the beast is staggered from having his teeth broken, Sanji launches Zoro at it, and with his three-sword style, hacking up swords, Zoro slashes right through the giant neck of the creature. It's kind of like with Pika in Dressrosa. Oh, they're getting meat. Ah, right, to feed to Loki. Okay, I'm not sure who's saying what. Maybe Sanji saying, this looks like good eating. And Zoro saying, I mean, it's huge even compared to giants. Goldberg says, groggy shorish is considered a delicacy. It takes a while to carve off all the fat, but it's great when stewed in alcohol. Ooh, nice. All right, he's the cook. Sanji actually teaming up with another cook. That's actually kind of cool. You don't get that a lot. Sanji says, yeah, but you didn't bring any of that with us, right? Goldberg says, there's a whole shed of cooking tools in the hunting shed. Let's go for some aromatic herbs on the way back. Zoro then looks over to Nash saying, hey, what's the deal with this guy, huh? Is it a devil fruit? Goldberg explains, that shield came to life like that way back years ago when my dad went on an expedition to vanquish Big Mom. Vanquish? Zoro says Big Mom, and while Goldberg is taking away the rest of the creature, Zoro and Sanji are dragging away the head. Zoro says, oh, so he's like Zeus then. Okay, I thought it was Goldberg, but I think it's Nash who's saying, what? You guys know Mr. Zeus? He's like one of the most exalted homies. And I think it's Sanji who says, now he's a manservant to our navigator. I feel like that'd probably be more Zoro saying that. As Nash says, what? Oh, and there it is. Everybody else over with Loki questions, Holy Knights? Loki says, that's right, they showed up here. Harden questions, humans from the world government? You're saying that's who beat you this badly? Loki says, that's what I'm saying. Harden says you must have given them reason to seek revenge when you were rampaging beyond the sea. Loki says, don't be stupid. If I had gotten far enough to run into them when I was out there, I'd be king of the world by now. What is Luffy sitting on? His hat? Loki's hat? It's hard to tell. Either that or his shoe. Luffy questions, Knights from the world government? Yeah, he's never heard of Knights. I think it's Goldberg who says, hey, you guys, look what we caught. Oh yeah, Luffy is sitting on Loki's shoe. Luffy sees what they're carrying, saying, whoa, it's huge. Goldberg says, it's a groggy shorish, tasty and nutritious. Zoro says, I delivered the killing blow. While Sanji notes, "You should have been there. I've never seen such a graceful soaring broccoli." And naturally, they start arguing. Goldberg says, "Did you collect enough fallen trees?" Sansa says, "Yep, got a nice pile going. Thanks for the hunt." And I think it's probably Sanji who says, "There we go, nice and cooked." Luffy says, "Yummy." Sanji says, "It's not just for you." Luffy says, "Oh, right. Eat up, Loki," as he takes a big chunk of meat on a stick and just slams it into Loki's face. Just starts sizzling on his face as Loki says, "Yeah, you're burning me." As the guard says, "Be careful of his wounds, Luffy." And Loki just shouts, "Are you trying to kill me?" Luffy says, "Hey, you're looking better already." Anyway, you need to eat if you want to recover. And Loki does just that, munching down. Loki says, "It's hard to swallow lying on my back. You can't sit me up first?" Luffy says, "Geez, so fussy." I mean, it is true. Lying on your back is really hard to eat while lying on your back. And not to mention, you're bound to like choke and stuff. It's no fun. As Loki gets up, he starts to cough. Yep, there it is. And Luffy says, "Got something stuck in your throat? Hang on a sec. I'll bring soup." Man, Luffy is being way more attentive than I'm used to when it comes to stuff like this. Like, man, why has he taken such a shine to Loki though? I get it. Loki says he has information on Shanks, but my God, I've never seen Luffy be this, like, considerate, even though he's being a pain in the ass in the process. It's just kind of weird to me. But it's a good reason for slapstick with everything that's going on, as Luffy comes over with a boiling hot mug as big as he is, saying, "Ouch, ouch, ouch, ouch." Loki cries out, "I can see it bubbling from here. Stay away. Stay away from me." And of course, it's too late. Luffy says, "Oops," spills it on Loki's face, and he just cries out in pain. Gerd notes, "He has more burns than before." And Loki just lies back, says, "Get him away from me." And I think it's Sanji who says, "Hey, Luffy." And Luffy says, "Sorry, I didn't mean to." While Gerd is over there giving him a thumbs up. Gerd, you kind of messed up in your own way, kiddo. Like, are you sure you're supposed to be a doctor? You've inflicted just as much pain as you've healed over the course of this story. No, she has a fun personality. Sanji knows, "You too, Gerd? What did this guy do to make all the giants hate him so much?" Zoro, chomping down on a hunk of meat he has shish kebabbed on his sword, says, "I'm guessing he was lying when he made that promise with Luffy." The now propped up Loki says, "Where to find red-haired now? Sorry, but I wasn't lying about that." Zoro says, "We'll be the judge of that. Go on and tell us." Loki says, "Why should I tell you when you haven't upheld your end of the bargain and unlocked my last chain?" Well, Zoro doesn't really have a comeback for that. As Loki continues chowing down, he says, "You really want to meet red hair that badly, eh? I suppose I understand how it feels to idolize a pirate you met when you were just a lad." Hardin seems to be taking that info in. Luffy, chowing down on a big old chunk of meat, says, "You make it sound like you feel the same way about someone." Loki seems shocked at Luffy's interest, and he says, "Yes, I did. And it pains me that I was only a boy at the time." We see a young Loki talking with, much like Cullen with Shanks earlier, talking with the pirate saying, "Take me with you." And the pirate says, "I didn't come here to meet a whelp like you. Stop making me repeat myself." Who is it? The kid says, "Fight me then." Person says, "What? Rocks?" The man says, "You didn't have to use a blade on a kid." And Rock says, "Shut up, Newgate." Dang. Man, and you see Loki on the ground, impaled on a sword? Jesus. Man, okay, Rox is kind of savage then. So I guess, yeah, considering the time frame, yeah. But Big Mom wouldn't have returned to Elbaf by that time. Was she even a part of the Rox crew at that time? Interesting. Man. Loki, your encounter with Rox was a lot different than Luffy's encounter with Shanks. Oh, God. But Loki notes, "I was born in the wrong era." See, that's the first time we've had someone from who was younger at that time, say that. Because we've had Gold Roger say he was born in the wrong era, or saying they were part of the wrong era, but talking about the fact that they weren't more towards this time frame. Loki would have liked to have been an adult back then so that he could properly have challenged Rock. Interesting. Okay. Meanwhile, above the Western Village with Dorian Broggie and the the giant warrior pirates. That gets kind of confusing. Dory cries out, "The Draugr are like soldiers." Well, Broggie says, "Yeah, bah, 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 bah. So many ghosts, too. Just the thing kids would be afraid of." Dory calls out, "We'll wipe them all out," as they ram into a Draugr and are beset upon by other creatures of nightmares. And I guess the nightmare Loki jumps onto the ship, and someone cries out, "Is that meant to be Loki?" Oh, and Scopper goes leaping off the ship saying, "I'll handle him." The other giants cry out, "Mr. Ya!" And with one swing, Scopper just cuts right through the fake Loki. He cut him in twain. Brutal. As Scopper lands back on the ship, he says, "Good thing these are based on a child's imagination." And a giant says, "Would they be stronger if the kids knew the real thing?" Scopper says, "I'd rather not find out." Yeah. As he looks over the horizon, he notes, "There are more of them now. 3. A trio of abnormal voices. They can try to hide, but I can still feel them." Oh! Despite them masking their presence, he can still sense the God's Knights. Interesting. Scopper says, "If even Elbath isn't safe anymore, then it's truly the end of days." Oh, dang. Okay, we see the firefighting team who had been knocked for a loop, but despite being knocked out by the Draugr, they are still putting in the good work. Okay, hey, salute to the firefighters. Even after being knocked around, they still doing their duty. They cry out, "Open the sea cloud hoses." Will this even work? The flames are simply massive. And we see Saul from the side crying out, "Firefighters, I'm so glad y'all made it, but could you pick it up a little?" And we see the Fenrir that had loomed over him previously. He just bonk like it was nothing. I swear, these nightmare creatures, they seem scary, but they are quick work for anybody who's worth their salt and toughness. Though it goes to say, it's worth noting, with the one massive Draugr, it took like a whole town of giants to take out one, whereas you got like Saul and Scalper just one-shotting these things one after another. Then again, I mean, Saul did have Robin and Chopper on his side, so who knows, maybe they gave him a 3-piece combo. But Saul cries out, "The kids are about to reach the flames!" The firefighters call out, "The valves are all the way open. It's the strongest stream we've got!" And the kids continue to walk towards the flames as Saul cries out, "Put out the fire! You can do it! Get the flames out! I'm begging you!" Meanwhile, on the upper tree branch, you have Summer saying, "Look at that, Gunko. The kids are about to burn to death. What happens? Will they wake up?" Gunko coldly notes, "They'll wake up from the heat, wail and cry for their parents, and be consumed by flames and burned into bones, I assume." Dang. Dang, Gunko. That's cold-blooded. Summer says, "How about that? Now that's emotion." Oh, okay. You have Jinbei over somewhere commanding sea clouds and, swirling them up. Oh, meanwhile, back with Dory and Broggie. Broggie says, "What's wrong, firefighters?" Well, Dory says, "It's not going out." The firefighters say, "We're at max output." Saul goes running over saying, "We had options. Stop, children." And Summers is just laughing. And just as one of the children's feet reached the fire, you got Jinbei using Sea Cloud Shoulder Throw. And a mass of sea clouds come erupting out towards the fire, and much to Saul's shock, bam, it hits the fire. Jinbei comes out of the sea cloud saying, "There, that should do it." Was that in time? As Cullen Svar comes over, they call out, "Over here, hop on." And Jinbei does just that. Nami and Usopp cry out, "Way to go, Jinbei!" And Brooks strums his guitar saying, "I got the chills." As, yep, sure enough, the flames are doused thanks to Jinbei. Ah, man. Jinbei just coming in clutch every time. There isn't an arc he's been in yet that Jinbei just hasn't just shown off why he is the handiest person to have in damn near every situation, especially when it comes to putting out fires. Like, I swear, second arc in a row that well, not in a row, but second arc in general he's been in where he's just putting out fire. Uh-oh. The firefighters are shocked. Saul is relieved. You got Robin holding on to Chopper, so thankful. As the broadcast goes out, the wildfire in Forest Sector 2 Branch Route 8 has been put out, and the kids are all safe. The children weren't harmed by the flames, but they're still marching onward. Brogy says, that was a close one. Dory says, we believed in you. Well, Oimo says, well done, firefighters, the guardian deities of Elbas. The firefighters say, it wasn't us. While another says, but at least they're safe. Well, the other guy says, no kidding. Like, you know what? It wasn't us. But we're just happy that it happened, because it's just like, oh my God. It's just the relief. Oh man. Though Chopper notes, did you see that, Robin? And Robin says, Jinbei must be nearby. Aw, they believe in their crew. Colin says, that was so cool, Jinbei, so cool. Well, someone else says, thank you, Jinbei. Jinbei says, it's nothing. Colin says, the kids at school all hate me, but I think of them as my friends. Aw. I mean, that's kids for you. He's got a very Naruto vibe to him. He's hated, and yet he still thinks of people who hate him as his friends. Nami says, that's so sweet, Colin. We're gonna save them together. And Colin says, yeah, only for Gunko to have arrived on the bow of their ship. And as she arrives, she says, so I suppose the school isn't the only place to find a perky child. Oh, Colin freaks out, saying, what? Who's that? As everyone's shocked at the arrival of one of the God's Knights. Oh boy. So it would be them to encounter one of the God's Knights so soon. I mean, we got Jinbei, and he's fairly tough, but I don't know. This might be a bit much. We'll see. Alright, next up we have Chapter 1146, Motion in Stillness. The heck? What does that even mean? And you got Ulti clinging onto Yamato in Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 31. I'll never forget this debt I owe you. I'll be your follower for life. Oh my God. Yep, sure enough. Well, I'm actually happy about that, because out of any of the Toby Roppo, I feel like I enjoyed Yamato, Ulti, and Page one specifically. And I felt like there was, because they were the youngest in Kaido's organization, and I always remember Yamato being like, Ulti, be nicer to your brother. And I was kind of wondering, it's just like, okay, now they're saved, what happens now? I figured maybe they just tag along, but Ulti outright just being like, I will be your follower. It's Odin all over again. So Yamato should be fine with it then. Like, Odin had retainers that he didn't initially want. So, hey, you want to be like Odin. I'm interested to see how that'll work out, but I'm glad. Ulti and Page one are, again, my favorite of the Toby Roppo. It's kind of like Ulti, then probably Page one, then Drake and Who's Who, because I love Who's Who's design, but everything else about him kind of sucks. And Drake, he's kind of cool. I miss Drake's old hat. You know, seeing his hair is just like, I miss Drake's old hat. And then Black Maria, just because, dang. And then at the bottom, probably Sasaki, just because I'm still kind of pissed that the lore that I thought would be attributed to Sasaki wasn't there. I kept thinking he was going to be Kokoro's son and Chimney's dad. And yet, it was never put out there. I'm like, dang, I really thought this would have been it. I thought the fight with Frankie was going to have a lot more going on with it. Oh well. Alright. As Gunko has arrived on Colin Swar, Usopp questions, hey, who are you? While Jinbei says, I'm guessing it's... Hinami says, an intruder. Colin questions, intruder? Jinbei notes, one of the human intruders who the castle guards couldn't handle. Nami says, you're the ones who are kidnapping the children then. Gunko tugs at her hat, saying, you dare call me a human? Which Brooke kind of takes note of this. Okay, she's face to face with the person whose music she enjoys. Does she not know that he's part of the Straw Hats, or does she not recognize him? Gunko says, we are gods. Usopp says, gods? You sound like Eneru or the Celestial Dragons. Nami says, what would gods want with the children of Elbath? Colin says, yeah, what she said. Those are my friends. Where are you taking them? Give back my friends, as we see the children still being led in a line. Gunko says, hold your tongue, boy. Okay, so we see Ripley running, still holding Frankie like an action figure as we see the nightmare lightning crashing down. I guess it got hit by Frankie's radical beam. And he got Ripley, Bonnie, and Lilith all cheering Frankie on. Again, these nightmares go down a lot easier than you would think. It's more the numbers that are just kind of tough to deal with. As Gunko continues on saying, we'd prefer a simpler method, but at that size our options are limited. So they'll just have to walk. We will take them to the Holy Land via an appropriate route. You're gonna walk them all the way to the Holy Land? And unless there's a collection of Sky Islands, maybe? I don't know. Naomi notes, the Holy Land? Marisha? Jinbei notes, are you a celestial dragon then? Usopp says, what? You mean those ugly, annoying... Wait, you don't look like the ones I'm thinking of. And Brooke's familiar with them. Brooke says, I suspected something above that. The Holy Knights. Brooke knows. Interesting. Because, again, it's the one thing I always keep in the back of my mind. And any video I watch notes it too. Brooke used to be the commander of a battle convoy of a certain kingdom, he said. Had his kingdom encountered the Holy Knights? Maybe even laid siege by them. Because I don't think Brooke would have been one of them. Gunko says, the very same. As she sends out one of her arrows, and one of her arrows gets closer and closer to Usopp. As Usopp says, what do you... Does that mean you're capturing all those kids to turn them into slaves? Ah, hey, what's this arrow doing? So Nami calls out, you'll do no such thing, Zeus. And as Zeus comes out of the climb attack, he says, did he call for me, Nami? While Usopp's still running from the arrow, saying, why does it keep chasing me? Get off. Oh, that's new. Oh, is it because of the shark they encountered in Egghead? Because it kind of looks like that one, as Nami uses Thunder Shark Tempo. That's cool. And Cloud in the form of a shark races towards Gunko. Gunko says, one day, the world as we know it will cease to exist, as she uses her arrow to redirect the attack. Okay. So she can even redirect attacks with her arrows, which, I mean, it makes sense. She's directing the children and stuff. Gunko says, or so we thought. Zeus, in the command of the cloud, says, run, Nami, look out. And as Nami runs, she's supposedly hit and cries out. Zeus says, I'm sorry, Nami. And Gunko just watches. As it turns out, it was Brooke, who's been fried to a crisp, saying, it's me. Both he and Nami gives a thumbs up. As Zeus says, thank you. Though Gunko continues on saying, but a small number of humans realized it and warned the world of the danger. Why are you giving all this exposition? Oh, is it because they were present for Vegapunk's message? That might be why. That might be why she's willing to actually give out this information, as she knows Clover, Olvia, and Vegapunk. Usopp actually decided to join in the fight because, I mean, it's just one chick. He thinks, we should be able to handle this. Uses his slingshot and fires off something. I can't really see the shot. But as it approaches Gunko, dang, that was a hell of a... Usopp used his Gold Blast Grass. As Usopp says, bullseye. You thought we'd be intimidated by celestial dragons? Dang, Usopp, that was... And he actually blew her head off. My God. I guess because maybe it was too small to see, she couldn't redirect it. Usopp might be her natural enemy. Or maybe she can't redirect stuff like bullets? And someone says, you didn't have to be so gruesome, Usopp. You just see the top half of her body gone. Like, oh my God. And even Usopp's just like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to blow your upper half off. Only for her to start to reform. Okay, so even the God's Knights have the regeneration too. Is it, I'm wondering, if you go through the abyss, you create like a copy of yourself? So that means you're immortal? Or are they all just always immortal like this? That's what I'm questioning. Is it a function of the abyss? Or maybe because you have the sigil that I think we saw Summers have that allows you to go through the abyss? Maybe something Ian grants you? I wonder. But Colin freaks out saying, what? And even Usopp's like, huh? Nami says, ew, I felt bad for her, but the way she's regenerating is really gross. Wait, did they not remember this from when they encountered Saturn? Because Saturn regenerated when they attacked them, right? I think. And Brooke says, you're right, it's really creepy seeing someone come back to life. Of course. Yes, Brooke, whatever you say. And as Gunko almost fully reforms, she says, and now... Usopp and Nami freak out, eyes bulging out of their heads. As Gunko says, it is unstoppable. No one can stop it. Oh, okay, she's saying, well, as she was saying before, the end of the world is unstoppable. Okay. Just because people know doesn't mean they can stop the end of the world. So I really do feel like she's talking directly to them because they know. As she forms an arrow underneath her, pointing directly at Usopp, that she hops onto in a crouching position. And is she gonna slide her way down like Tarzan in the Disney movie? Usopp says, I had a feeling those arrows are pointed towards the target of her attacks. But Brooke and Jinbei are at the ready. As Jinbei says, we've got this one, Usopp. As Nami's pulling on the arrow to get it away from him. As Brooke says, it would be the height of folly to take a hit as predicted. Someone says the countdown has begun. Is it Gunko still? As we see the new... I keep saying the new. Dorian Brogy's giant warrior pirates Svar Great Eric being surrounded by the nightmares, which, again, the nightmares haven't been that tough, so... Yeah, okay. And we see Dorian Brogy just ripping apart the monsters like they were nothing, alongside the other giant warrior pirates, but it's mainly Dorian Brogy just tearing apart like tissue paper. We even see Loki and Luffy having just eaten their fill, my god. As Gunko continues to say, the countdown has begun. A vast war will ensue, and drag the entire world into it. Yeah, Doflamingo was noting that too. Another celestial dragon. And which side the giants pledge their alliance to will have a profound effect on the outcome of the war. Ah, that's why they're doing this now. Because they're determined to get the giants on their side, no matter what. Okay, I get that. Nami shouts, the whole world at war? That would never happen. While Jinbei says, so you're trying to seize control of Elbaf in preparation for it, by taking children as hostages. What cheap cowardice. As Gunko rushes in, she says, I performed my duty as commanded, but it could all be for nothing. The lives of a few children might as well be trash to me. I do not understand the concept of hostages. I don't know who, but someone calls out, what's wrong with you? You got a few screws loose. And as Colin takes out his sword, I think wooden sword? It's always hard to tell with this kid. He says, I'll fight you. Oh god. And using the same move she did on the wolf, Gunko has one of her arrows wrap around Colin's neck and hoist him up. Jeez. As Nami cries out for him, and the kid gags as he drops his sword. But as Gunko moves in down the directed arrow path towards Usopp, Jinbei gets ready to go in with his 5,000 brick, and Brooke tries to use Gaviot, but Gunko has two of her arrows redirect their attacks towards each other as she uses Aloe. And so Jinbei gets stabbed by Brooke's attack, and Jinbei knocks Brooke's block off. Another arrow is directed towards Nami as Gunko kicks Nami outward. Like, Nami sees the arrow, but it's too late. She gets kicked. And so Usopp tries to fire on Gunko, but the arrow that she's riding slips and just whoop. So she just goes under the shot, and then she goes in with a flying knee. Usopp tries to defend himself, only for the knee just BAM! Right in the face. Just an unavoidable path of violence. She said it herself. Just because you can see the attack doesn't mean you can avoid it. Dang, that's brutal. Okay, I think because we have all that I think Gunko knocked all the Straw Hats off Cullen's spar as she hoists Cullen up. Okay. Suddenly we have a transmission. I think it's Summer saying, "How's it looking? You all set up Killingham? The means of communications are so inadequate in Elbath." "No kidding. But it seems like every village and important facility has its own transmissions tool." As we cut over to the Walrus School, where someone cries out, "No, Principal Tusk!" As we see Killingham taking Principal Tusk by the beard, saying, "Corner, corner, nice hard corner. Oh. And he slams Principal Tusk into the corner of his desk. Dang. He says it with such a derpy look on his face, and you see Tusk, now missing one of his tusks, just bleeding on the floor. And then he says, Mr. Principal, I can't move." As you see her slumped over in the corner, Killingham says, "Yes, that's because your body has been slumbertized." And we see that Summers has gone over to the big pill blood transponder snail and using his own transponder snail in order to get out transmissions, I guess. Killingham says, "It's this big one, right? I've never heard of a transponder pill bug. Try talking through the transponder snail, Summers. They should send it all across Elbath." Summer says, "All right, I'll give it a shot. Just give me a minute first, Killingham." He's almost down, as we see that Summers has been taking on Saul, who is all bloody, probably from all the brambles that Summers has summoned. As he says, "This is the guy who should have died at O'Hara, the former Vice Admiral." Oh, he even recognizes Saul. Dang. So Saul whispers, "Chopper, Robin, Chopper, don't come out. Stay hidden around the back of my head." And, well, Chopper and Robin are doing just that, covering their mouths as Chopper thinks of Saul. Saul whispers, "You gotta help rescue the children for me. You gotta." As Summer says, "Yeah, come on, fall forward." And down he goes as Saul falls right into the brambles. And while Robin listens to the cries of pain from Saul covering her ears. Dang. Summer says, "Schools? Libraries? What kind of peace-loving nonsense is this? You people are warriors. You're going to use the vicious, violent power that once terrified the world in service to us as mercenaries. Isn't that right, King Harold?" And then stupid Harold had to go and screw it all up. Okay. Because I've watched a few videos about people speculating that Harold maybe has some kind of connection with the world government, because there was that pentagram in his throne room, and unless they can just put the pentagram wherever they want, which hasn't really been the case. Then again, when Saturn made his way to Egghead, how did the pentagram form on Egghead? Because he got from his ship to Egghead. So I have to assume there's like a predetermined place where you can put the pentagram? So maybe King Harold's bid for peace was a way of getting around the celestial dragon. So maybe he did have some kind of connection to them or agreement, but he was just like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." And so he went more for peace, but out of necessity, so that the people of Elbath wouldn't be used. But he didn't know the time frame of when that would happen. Interesting. So, did they kill Harold and frame it on Loki, maybe? I wouldn't put it past them. I would not put it past them. Alright. Next is chapter 1147, What We're Afraid Of, which I feel like that should have already been the title of a chapter, but whatever. As we see Raizo having arrived and Thomas hugging him. He's, I guess, arrived with food for Yamato for helping out. Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 32. Thanked by Raizo, Daimyo of Udon. Okay, Daimyo of Udon. Interesting. So we're getting the established how all the various different regions have been reestablished. We have a flashback of Saul saying, "Stay hidden. Robin and Chopper, I've seen him before. He's a holy knight." Oh, right, okay, Vice Admiral, and all the Vice Admirals seem to be aware of the Holy Knights. Interesting, okay. They're immortal. You can't beat them. Hide and wait for your chance to save the kids. Okay. So it's probably a secret kind of kept amongst the higher echelon of the admirals, because I remember that there was a certain tier you had to be at where it's just like, do not look at the elder. Do not look at the elder. If you look at the elder, you will die. Like, okay. So Summer stands over the downed Saul. He says, I guess that means there are 2 survivors over Valhalla. The Navy sure did a sloppy job. Meanwhile, Robin and Chopper continue to hide on the back of Saul's head behind all of his hair. Summers hears something. Oh, and we see Gunko arriving or approaching with the straw hats all tied up. Yeah, back when people thought it was bandages that she used, but I mean, it is kind of like bandages, but it's her arrows, and Saul even noted they're like fabric. Summer says, Gunko, you caught the Straw Hat crew then. You gonna take him with us? But Killingham via the transponder snail says, don't be stupid, Summers. Are you two trying to make Straw Hat Luffy furious? Let's just fulfill the mission and go home. Oh, interesting. Even one of the God's Knights not wanting to get too wrapped up with one of the emperors. That's interesting. Okay. I guess that would explain why they don't get too involved. Even they are wary of the power of an emperor. Okay. Nami cries said, poor Saul's been tormented and we let Cullen get kidnapped. How can you let this happen, Jinbei? Nami, come on. Jinbei tried. Jinbei says, stop shouting. I'm trying to come up with a plan. What are these powers anyway? Yeah, if you don't really know what's coming at you, it's hard to counter a little bit, even though you had the arrows to know where it was coming at you. Usopp says, that chick is scary. I thought I was going to die. Yeah, I mean, you've been hit worse than that. Brooke says, I feel like there's something about that woman. However, maybe it's just my imagination. Okay, see, I'm not sure about anything when it comes to Brooke now, because even he knew about a God's Night. But we've had situations where only people above a certain hierarchy knows about them, knows about the elders, knows about the God's Knights and stuff. Who were you, Brooke? He said he was the commander of a battle convoy. Did he work in conjunction with the world government at some point? I am so curious about you. And Gunko then forms a sword out of her arrows, which, geez, the endless versatility. She's like, Karen from Naruto, who could make all those things out of paper. Like, she's just like that. Now she's pointing one of her arrow swords at Brooke's face. She formed it into a rapier. So says, yeah, it's her, the zombie girl. Zombie girl. Gunko then pushes back Brooke's head with her foot as the others cry out for Brooke. Gunko says, listen up, you. Brooke says, huh? Gunko says, I want you to write songs for me for the rest of your life. You're going to be my slave. Okay, so she does know who Brooke is. Yeah, she ain't fangirling like some thought. She is just being really mean, and very much like a celestial dragon. Brooke says, huh? Now he says, what? Does she know about Brooke's music? Yeah, it's weird that we're only just now encountering someone who knows about Brooke's music, and it would be someone who wants to enslave him. Usopp says, a celestial dragon who's a fan of Soul King? Jinbei says, sounds like a nightmare of a fan. Summers calls out, knock it off, Gunko. I don't want to fight with one of the 4 emperors either. Again, like, that acknowledges, just like, man, I don't want to fight an emperor. Like, man, right, God Valley. Because a lot of the Holy Knights from back then would have fought some of the previous emperors. They would have fought Kaido. They would have fought Big Mom. They would have fought Whitebeard. Shoot. No, Shanks was too young by that point. And even going off of that, Roger and stuff. Okay, yeah. Interesting. Summer says, let's just go, do our job and go. Though Brooke raises his head, saying, I'm quite sorry, young lady. But from the day that Captain Straw Hat Luffy bestowed me my second life, I have been dedicated to no one but him. Gunko says, what if I said I would kill you? Brooke tells her coldly, I would rather die than live without honor. So Usopp cries out, look out, Brooke! As Gunko uses one of her arrows to kick him in the face. Gunko seemed to have, it's kind of like she was wounded emotionally by that. As she kind of grips at her chest, And she just starts kicking Brooke. And Jinbei says, Brooke! While Summers is still on the transponder, Snail says, are we good now, Killingham? Killingham says, yeah, go ahead. An announcement to all of Elbath. And as he gets on the comms throughout Elbath, Summers says, check, check. Can you hear me, Elbath? Come in, warriors of Elbath. The other villages who are listening in say, who's that? What message is this? Summer says, I'm sure you're all busy scrambling to deal with the strange events unfolding around you. That was our doing. I'm a dagger sent straight from sacred Marijois. I'm Summers of the Holy Knights. Okay, just outright announcing your position. Okay. Oh, wait. Is Brooke maybe from a kingdom that was taken over by the Holy Knights? And they took over similar to this. Okay. That's a possibility. We cut over to the craftsman village, southeast Sunworld, where the giants who are battling with a griffin-like nightmare say, Marijois, so he's from the world government? Why would they do this? Captain! Back on Dorian Brogy's ship, someone comes running over saying, Captains, they're sending this message all over Elbath. Brogy says, so they've revealed who they are. We cut over to the Huntsman village in northwest Elbath, where we see several people with arrows. They shout, are the children safe? As Summers continues on saying, as I'm sure you've realized all over Elbath, we have taken 10 of your children as hostages. On top of that, we have reduced an orange-bearded man to a bloody mess for the crime of pursuing us from the school in an attempt to free the children. And we see the bramble Summers on has a face. That's kind of freaky. Angie is shocked, saying, Mr. Saul? Killingham doesn't really pay her any mind as Summers continues on his message, saying, in other words, while you blithely assumed that someone else was going to do the rescuing for you, the children have continued to march toward the goal. As Jarl says, Saul, no! Back at the Walrus School, Killingham tells Angie, the game's only getting started. It's just a shame that we can't use video. Can you name all the children who were marched out of here? Angie says, of course. Killingham says, then let's let their parents know that it's time for the twerps to wake from their dream. Right. They're determined to parade this in front of the parents. Meanwhile, it seems like all the children have woken up as they shout, hey, how come we're just marching along like this? Where are we going? I don't know, but we're already far away. That's not true. This is branch 8. We're on the way back. Yeah, but we can't control our feet. Why can't we go home then? I want to see Mommy. I want to see Daddy. While Cullen tells them, we're kidnapped. It means we can't see them. All the kids say, what? Cullen says, and stop whining. I'm here. And unlike you crybaby weaklings, I'm a warrior. Only for some of the nightmares to loom over the kids. And the kids go, a monster, a ghost, save us, Cullen. Only for Cullen to be freaking out. Just like, yeah, that's about right. Like, save us, Cullen. And Cullen's just over there like, oh my God. He tried, Cullen. Oh my God. No way. Okay. Over on the Great Eric Saul Svar, the giants call out, it sounds like they took out Saul. Turn us around. We need to go save the kids. But captains, there's a hole in the bilge, and we've got broken oars. Brogy says, damn it. What kind of freakish beast is that? The giant says, I don't know. It's some sort of woman monster. Well, one of the giants says, that looks like my wife. Oh no, it kind of looks like my wife, though. Watch out, she's gonna beat you over the head. Oh no, are you trying to say something here, buddy? Well, another says, that other one looks like my wife. Oh no. Oh, wait. These monsters all came from the children's worst fears, right? Oh, for a second I thought that was Dory saying, your wife's a bent mom. But he says, and your wife is Bent's mom. The man says, that's right. Dory says, so Bent was asked to imagine what he was most afraid of. And the answer was, Mommy? Wait, what? That's our worst fear too. As we see a couple of moms just raiding the ship. Oh my God. Oh, we can't fight. Our morale is getting hammered. And you see Oimo getting knocked out. You see Brogy hanging on to Kashi. And even Dory is freaking out. It's like, moms? I can't fight a mom! Well, especially the people who are married to them. It's just like, yeah, I ain't hitting an image of my wife, dude. Like, I ain't hitting no image of my wife. It's like, I ain't hitting an image of your wife either. That's all kinds of, I mean, shoot, look, we're Vikings, but we ain't no wife beater, okay? Like, I ain't trying to get canceled now. Dory and Brogy's wild adventure. You even have one of the men calling out, I'm sorry for always going out drinking, dear. Oh, that's a mood, though. I'm sorry for forgetting to take out the trash, dear. Oh, God. Oda, you're having too much fun with this, buddy. I'm sorry for eating the honey cake that was for the guests. Oh, God, that's me. Captain, they're ripping off the island clouds, and we're gonna fall. And then you see the Great Eric's Fire Edition is now just the crashed Eric as it crashes into the wood. Oh, no. That was funny. That's funny. Summers announces over the transponder sound. The giant pirate ship has crashed. So much for their blister. Some of those sleep-dids were real beasts. The kids' chances of rescue are dwindling by the minute. Now, beard-haired Jarl, warrior of legend, it's time for us to talk. Jarl says, you mean Dory and Brogy are down? Summer says, with no king on the throne, you're the boss around here. Right. Though we have Ripley running up with Frankie, Lilith and Bonnie, but are Lilith and Bonnie both still wearing the Dom shoes? Because they're flying. Ripley calls out, you must be joking. The giant pirate Svar just crashed? I hope they're all right. Let's hurry. So they're headed to the Great Eric. As Summers tells Jarl, our goal here is quite simple. To make ye giants our slaves in battle. Jarl is shocked by this. As Summers says, the next step is to find out how effective these kids will be as hostages. I bet you're all wondering whose kids our 10 hostages are, huh? And see, we have a diagram of where everyone is, which I'm kind of thankful for. So at the library and school, you have Angie and Principal Tusk with Killingham there. You have Ripley and Frankie headed for the downgrade Eric, where Dory, Brogy, and Mr. Yar. Yeah, wait, we didn't see Scalper do anything as those moms were attacking. Well, then again, he might not have wanted to. He might not have wanted to beat up anybody's mom or wife or anything like that. You have Jarl at the Western Village next to the castle, and the path from the library school to the Western Village. In between, you have Summers and Gunko with Saul and the Straw Hat Pirates, and the 10 children a ways away. Okay. Angie hands over something saying these are the names of the children who were kidnapped. Summer says, first up, Ilva. As the girl cries, Jarl says, Ilva, my granddaughter's granddaughter. John says, she's Jarl. Next up, Scaldy. The kid says, is there anything we can do for ourselves? Summers then says, Olav. As he says, it's a dream. It's all a dream. Oh, Oimo says that's my grandson, Captain. Oh, snap. Oimo has a grandson? Huh. I mean, I guess. I wasn't expecting so many, relations here. Okay. Dang. Does Dory and Brogy maybe have a child or grandchild here? And yeah, 100 years, I guess. As Brogy just says, ow. Then they call out Karen. As Karen says, I've always had the worst luck. The emo kid. Summerson says, Mag. As Mag says, I'm supposed to be strong, but I can't stop. And then Summer says, Ronja. And Ronja's just a ball of delight saying, don't worry, it'll all work out. Aw, she's a peach. She's a peach. Although I guess her father says, why did it have to be my child? Branch 8, right? I'm on my way. Aw. And then one of the warriors who was on the giant warrior ship, his son Bent is called out. As Ben says, Mommy's gonna yell at me. Yep, the one who fears his mom. And then they call out Johanna. And the girl with horns says, at least you have parents. Oh. Dang, Johanna. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Johanna. Poor Johanna. Is she just a ward of the Walrus School then? Huh. And last but not least, Bjorn. As Bjorn says, can't at least I be saved? Okay, maybe Bjorn should be taken. Screw you, Bjorn. Summer says, that makes 9, but just now, hoping to save his friends, a little warrior named Cullen showed up to join the group, so that makes 10. While Johanna says, did you just say what I think you said, Bjorn? Bjorn says, sorry. Screw you, Bjorn. Though Ripley hearing that says, what? Cullen? Now she's with Gabon. Aw. Just to find out their child has been kidnapped. And yeah, I think Bonnie does still have the Dom shoes. Huh. Interesting. Gabon says, did you hear that, Ripley? Our son's a hero. Gabon, no, Gabon, that is not the takeaway from this. That's not the takeaway from this, man. As Ripley says, now's not the time for... And Summer says, and now, our commands. Heed them closely, Elbath. Your school is completely useless in war, and your library is packed full of pointless records of the past. You will burn them down right now, and swear fealty to us. Oh! I don't know about you, but I don't believe in book burning, my friend. Summer says, if you do not, we will eliminate the brats one at a time. As the kids crowd, help us, help! Ripley is shocked by this declaration, and Gabon says, what are they talking about? Frankie cries out, we know where the kids are, let's go save them. Dory says, I want to smash these guys. Summer says, you have to make the call, Chief Jarl. Jarl says, me? Jarl's just like, I don't really want to make a call like that. As Angie says, no, wait, please, it's too cruel. As Summers just looks to her in indifference, Angie cries out, the school is the symbol of Elbath's current state of peace, and the library is full of Elbath's ancient history, as well as knowledge of the world saved through the sacrifice of O'Hara scholars. That is not gonna want them to stop. It's a fortune that belongs to more than just Elbath. And Summers just says, ugh, calm down, lady. So dismissive. Oh, and naturally, Chopper sees Robin's face and he's just like, no, Robin, you can't. But well, Ripley says, please, Mr. Ya, and Chopper is just rushing and say, you got it. As both Robin and Scopper say, I won't let them do this. At the ready. Robin's just like, books? Scopper's like, my son, the hell they will. Oh, I got a kick out of this chapter, especially. Oh, no. He's like, kill my son, not today. And Robin's ready to go sicko mode on them. Book burning, not a second time. All right, we're in the last couple of chapters as we pick up with chapter 1148, Ronja. And that's one of the kids, right? That was the real happy one, the real happy one. Or optimistic one, I guess we could say. And we have Raizo, Speed, and Tama bidding farewell to Yamato, and Ulti and Page 1. I guess they are Yamato's retainers now. And Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage, Volume 33. Onward to Hakumat. To deliver an Amagasa hat from Otama to Kawamatsu. Okay. And Kawamatsu will never be in short supply of those Amagasa hats. But I know some people weren't really feeling the Yamato stories, but that was my thought has always been that, look, if Yamato's gonna have a connection to Wano, Yamato should actually see Wano. Like, because Yamato's mostly lived on Onigashima for 20 years. Explore the place that you're dedicated to protecting. Is the one thing I feel kind of strongly about, so I'm not down on this cover story. And sure enough, we see Ronja breaking off from everyone else, walking across they're essentially making her walk the plank, but it's one of Gunko's arrows. And Ronja says, my legs are moving on their own. All the other kids cry out, Ronja, where are you going? You're gonna fall. And Ylva says, Ronja. Ronja, still smiling, says, what's going on? It's weird, huh? But I'm fine, Ylva. Don't worry. I'll be just fine. I know it. It's no big deal. No big... she's smiling right up until she gets to the edge. And everyone cries out, Ronja! And even Ronja starts to kind of panic and shiver. The kids cry out, come back, Ronja! It's the underworld down there! Gunko says, the first one is all set up to plummet, Summers. Summers says, good. Patch it in so all of Elbaf can hear the little twerp's voice. Now, if we don't hear your decision within 30 seconds... the first one of your kids gets pushed off. Beard Hill Jarl, you need to give the orders to your school teacher. Tell her to light the school and library on fire. Jarl's kind of stuck as the giants argue, it's so cruel. Chief Jarl, that library holds the word of people across thousands of years of history. While another says, what do you mean? Obviously lives come first. Though the other cries out, the conditions ain't the real issue. This is a massive turning point for Elbaf. Will we bend the knee to them or not? Another giant cries out, you want to let our children die just to prove a point? While another says, isn't there anyone else around there? You have to stop this preposterous game. It's all arguments people would actually have. It's just like, dude, that's our history. That we'd lose so much of our culture, among other things. There's like, but it's the lives of children, man. We can't just lose that. But then another just like, but we can't just give in like this. So it's just, I understand. It's understandable arguments. Like, all of this is some BS. Meanwhile, back with the still down Saul, poor Saul. He ended up actually face down and not able to get up. Robin whispers, you stay here, Chopper. Chopper says, what? Robin says, we shouldn't fight without knowing for certain what their powers can do. True. Chopper questions, but what are you gonna... Robin says, I can't hold back the emotions that are running through me. Robin's like, I'm about to F him up. Meanwhile, Nami cries out, you're going to kill children? Summers does not respond. Now Nami cries out, are you literally insane? Even the worst, most vicious criminals across the world don't take children hostages, except for Caesar. So Summer says, did I ask for the opinions of insects? And Nami says, why you... Oh, and Brooke is particularly wrapped up now. Dang. Ripley says, I'll go too, Frankie. And as she heads off, Frankie says, thanks. You'll be a big help. Brogy says, we'll join the fight as well. Split into two groups. Story says, one to fight the monsters and one to save the children. The other giants say, take up your weapons. Hurry to Branch Route 8. Get in your ships. Like, 2 Branch 8. 2 Branch 8. And you see the people chanting. It's just like, no, we ain't having none of this. Which, again, understandable. There are some who are just like, no, I'm about to just go and F them up. I don't care. A war! As Summer says over the comms, also, if you do choose to burn the school and library, you are forbidden from removing a single book from them. You see, what we want to burn down is your culture and your history. And Robin just... I've had all I can stand and I can't stand no more. As she forms a giant hand with Sinfleurs, Terraspedia, and just palms Summers right in the face, and he is sent flying. The other Straw Hats cry out, Robin! Oh, Robin's all right. While Jinbei says, be careful. We still don't know what makes them tick. Robin says, yes, I'm aware of that. And she just got a face that says, and I don't give a shit. While Chopper's just sneaking through Saul's mane of hair, Robin binds Summers using Quattromano. So Summers says, I know you, you're Nico Rock. And then Robin uses Clutch and just breaks him. I mean, that's only going to do so much, but binding him's not a bad idea. Nami cries out, yes, Robin! Well, Usopp says, I heard cracking, but Robin remembers Saul's words. They're immortal. You can't beat them. So Summers puts himself together. It's kind of like Sanji and what he turned into, and or his siblings, where they could just crack themselves back into place. Actually, maybe that's where what was Sanji's dad's name? The bastard. Judge. There we go. Vincent Oak Judge. Maybe that's where Judge got the idea from. The Holy Knights. And Summers continues talking on the comm saying, you hear me, Elbeth? You've got 20 seconds until the kid falls. Not even missing a beat with any of that. Usopp says, damn it, he's a zombie too. Summers says, huh? As Robin just rushes him, glomping onto his face, wrapping arm after arm after arm after arm, binding him down. And so she leaps off of the branch. Summers saying, hey, what is this all about? Are you in love with me or something? Huh? And then he notices you're falling. He says, what? You jumped off? You got a death wish? I'm down for love, but not a lover's leap. The Straw Hats panic. Usopp saying, Robin, what are you doing? Jinbei says, is she going down with him? And Robin tells Summers, I'm well aware that you're immortal and you have thorn-based powers, but as long as I remove those invisible thorns, we can save the children. Summers says, oh yeah? So you deduce that knocking me down below will put the kids outside of the range of my powers. You're a clever woman. As Summers summons thorns all over his body that pierce Robin. But it's one of the Robin clones, right? There's no way she jumped on him herself, right? Okay, yep, sure enough. As Summers notices something weird about how he pierced Robin with his body, and then the clone fades away. Sure enough, she's good. Summers says, she disappeared. That conniving vixen set me up. Meanwhile, the real Robin is trying her best to untie the other Straw Hats. Nami says, Robin, that was so cool. You were amazing. So Robin, trying to cut at Gunko's wrapping, says, even the knife can't cut through this. It's unfortunately not like normal cloth. I think Jinbei says, so we can't undo these without deactivating the woman's powers. Dang. And Summers' voice continues through the comms. 10 seconds left. Robin says his voice. As we see that Summers used a long vine in order to keep himself tied to the tree, so he wouldn't fall completely downward. As his voice comes over the comms, time to speak up, Jaro. Make sure he hears the kid's voice, Gunko. Gunko says, say something. And Ronja says, Chief Jarl, what I want to say is, as the kids cry out for Ronja, she says, I love the school. It's where my friends are. While the other giants say, run. And her father says, that's my daughter, Ronja. Jarl listens intently. Oh, jeez. Oof. Damn. I didn't think I'd get emotional, but seeing this happy girl break down like this. The giants are nearing, saying, we're coming to save you. As Ronja says, I love the library too. The books tell you about places all around the world. The teachers at school taught me this lesson. You mustn't cause trouble for other people. You mustn't do things that make them upset. And she tears up listening, and so does Jarl. As Ronja says, if we lose the school and library in order to stop me from falling off the branch, that would be really sad and make everyone upset. So I think I should fall instead. Don't worry, Chief Jarl. I'll be all right. And with tears in her eyes, she says, I'm a lucky girl. I bet everything will turn out fine. And as Summers counts down 2, 1, Jarl cries out, Angie, set fire to the school. And the giant calls out, Chief Jarl. Jarl says, burn down the library. Angie solemnly says, yes, sir. Tears fill Saul's eyes. Robin tears up, only for Summers to arrive, wrapping Robin in thorns. And he prepares his thorn sword, saying, yeah, I like that look on you, Nico Robin. Usopp cries out, no, don't you dare. Run, Robin, do something. Only for a figure to come zipping in, cutting off Summers' hand. Says, huh? Everyone's shocked. And then he looks to his hand saying, what? It's not coming back. As Scopper Gabon moves in, he says, been a while, eh? And Summers freaks out saying, Scopper Gabon? Only for him to be slashed across the chest. Conqueror's hockey. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Conqueror's hockey. And man, Gabon has this dead serious look on his face. Oh, snap. That's how you do it. It's the same way Luffy was able to bypass Kaido's defenses as well as Big's mom's. You have to be able to hit them both inside and out. But did he kill him or will he survive? That's my question. And Summers recognized Scott or Gabon, so they've encountered them. Either they've encountered each other a few times, or he just recognizes him in general. Man, that really got me, because it's just like, man, a happy kid like that just being like, do not burn down the library. It is filled with too many valuable things. She treasures everything about that school, and just Robin breaking down, hearing that too makes so much sense. Oh man, that killed me. That killed me right there. Oh, oof. Ronja, you are too precious. May nothing bad befall this child. Alright, and the last chapter of this video. A great cover page of the Botakiri Maid Cafe, where you have Robin, it looks cute, Lilith, Nami, and Bonnie all working as Usopp, Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Chopper, and a cat are all eating. Usopp freaking out over the bill alongside a cat, which, I mean, the writing on the egg that Luffy's eating says, "My gold mine." Oh god. What does Botakiri mean? Why does Bonnie's little thing say rip? Oh, rip off. Botakiri means rip off. Okay. The rip off bar. Gotcha. Wait, Shoki's rip off bar? Like what Shoki runs? It's cool to actually see Lilith and Bonnie kind of hanging out with the Straw Hats. That's how you know they're really close. It doesn't mean they're gonna be Straw Hats though. I feel like too many people end up with that notion, because there were a few times we had other characters on color spreads with the Straw Hats and stuff, only for them not to end up joining in with the Straw Hat. I've been reading this series for a long time, people. Nami says, "Oh," recognizing Mr. Ya, as everyone says, "What? Who is that?" As Scopper strikes a cool pose, cutting down Summers, who cries out in pain. Usopp says, "It worked on him? How? What did he do?" Thus, Gabon says, "I'm rusty." What, you meant to fully take him out? Oh, god damn! Scopper twirls his axe, gets ready to go in. Summers rises up using Thorn Salutation, and using Haki blocks Gabon's attack. Summers then leaps back, clutching his wound, peeking down from his glasses, saying, "Mountain Eater, what are you doing in Elbaf?" The two warriors of love going at it. Gabon says, "Let's not get bogged down with boring questions." And they clash. Gabon's axe versus Summers' thorn blade. Usopp says, "What? You met him at the castle?" Nami says, "Yeah, he was totally pushing Luffy and Zoro around. He's the father of a boy at the school named Cullen." Chopper says, "That old man is?" Robin says, "If I didn't mishear, he might be Scopper Gabon." Jinbei says, "He's the left arm of the king of the pirates, the counterpart to Rayleigh." Brooke says, "What's he doing in the land of giants?" Meanwhile, Chopper, still watching from Saul's mane, says, "His attacks are doing damage, but how?" Robin, still bound by Summers' thorns, sprouts hand, saying, "I can't move, but I can still help from a distance." Though Jinbei says, "Don't do it, Robin. He uses thorns of iron. Your hand-to-hand blows aren't suited for fighting him," which is true, unfortunately. It was best when she was using clones, but the moment she got wrapped up, like, dang, it sucks, too, because our stronger fighters are going down one by being bound. Oh my god. Is he dying? Summers uses Thorn Hunt and Crimson Lotus Hail as he sprouts thorns that rise out from behind him, and then he summons thorns from the ground. Summers says, "Watch your step. There's no safe passage." Though Gabon says, "Listen, I'm in a hurry." It's like, yeah, I'm tired of your BS. As he just starts whacking through Summers' thorns. Summers readies himself, saying, "Come on then." But before he can even do anything, Gabon uses Axe Symphony, cutting straight on through Summers with definitely Conqueror's Haki, through his sword, through his body. Is he dead? It's really hard to tell with these people. But Gabon then notices he's about to hit the thorns on the ground. So he says, "Whoa, look out!" As he just lays into the ground and then flips over, like, man, this dude is cool. Holy crap. God damn. No wonder he landed a baddie like Ripley. And then he just gets into a running stance, says, I'm coming, Cullen. It's just... He's just like, no time to waste. Son's awaiting. Oh, man. Father of the year. Yes. Finally, a good father who's attentive to their child in this series. I know that's right. He's just like, no, you don't get to mess with my son. Jinbei, Usopp, and Nami say, what? He beat him? And Summer just falls into his own brambles. My God. But Chopper turns into his walk point and goes chasing behind him, even over the thorns, saying, ouch. Nami says, where are you going, Chopper? Chopper thinks to himself, how was he able to slice up a guy who's immortal? That's got to be a crucial secret. Chopper with his eyes on the prize. Okay, I get that. Oh, no. As you see, Mr. Blade, I think it was, or Mr. Yeah, I think it's Mr. Blade, getting the sleeping kids to safety. Killing him nods, telling Angie, well, good, well done, as we see the school and library set ablaze. Well, I think the school set ablaze. Killing him tells Angie, you have proven yourself obedient, as tears stream down from Angie's face. God, oh, that's breaking my heart more than I expected, because she, especially after hearing Ronja's impassioned speech and still being forced to do this, but what choice does she really have? Like, she's not taking down killing him, and he's just going to do it anyway, whether she wants him to or not. Killing him prepares a flaming arrow, saying, oh, that's all we needed to see. I'll take care of the other building. And as he fires, Angie says no, as the library goes up in flames. Killing him laughs. Look at it burn. Robin can see it from here, saying the library, as she's visibly shaken. Tears continue to stream from the downed soul, and Jarl screams out, no! The other giants say, it's not your fault, Chief Jarl. But Jarl tears up, saying, the words of our forefathers, all of our history. Even seeing an old man like that cry, just, oh man, I'm sorry, I hope that something can save all of this, because that's messed up, man. The last person who should be seeing this is Robin. Killing him communicates with Gunko, saying, this is killing him. The fire is burning. Gunko tells Ronja, come back, child. Why aren't you happy? And Ronja, welling up with tears at the sight, walks back and over the comm says, I'm sorry. She screams out, I'm sorry that I'm still alive. I'm sorry that everything is burning because of me. Oof. You got Brogy and Kashin racing over with other giants crying out, it's not your fault, Ronja. Oh, only for Gaban to be approaching, saying, culture, history, children, troops. You don't have the right to take any of these things away. Gunko says, a crewmate of the King of the Pirates. You realize that resistance means the death of these hostages. The other kids say, oh, it's Mr. Ya. Cullen, Mr. Ya is here, huh? He came to save us. Oh, no. Yeah, that's right. Gaban thinks to himself, don't speak up, Cullen. Don't do it. And then Cullen yells out, Daddy! All the kids light up as Cullen says, that's my daddy, everybody. Guess what? He's stronger than anyone. He's going to save us all. Yay! And then Gunko immediately eyes the boy. Gaban turns pale as he rushes in. Oh, but Gunko's already on Cullen. Oh, crap. Holding her arrow sword to Cullen's throat. Cullen cries out, oh, no. As Gunko says, so you don't mind if I kill him? That's what I take from your response. She eyes down at Gaban, who has paused. Gaban thinks to himself, this is my final chance. There's still time to put out the fire in the library. I can save the children and Elbath in the process, as long as it's in an instant. He cries out, hang in there, Cullen. Give me 1 second. You're a big, strong boy now. Cullen cries out, okay, Daddy, I'm a warrior, so beat this creep. Gaban thinks to himself, be strong. If you get hurt, I'll make sure you survive. Gunko says, life once lost will never return. Gaban gets ready, thinking back to the day Cullen was born. Ripley saying, this is our son, Mr. Yao. Gaban says, he's so adorable and huge. Ripley says, oh, Gaban says, what a gift you've given me, Ripley. My lifelong treasure. Oh boy, I know where this is headed. You got Ripley rushing over saying, please be safe, Cullen, as Gunko starts to pierce Cullen's neck. But Cullen tears in his eyes, grits his teeth. Gabon, filling his axe with hockey, thinks to himself, I have to put a stop to this before things spiral out of control. But then he has a glimpse of future sight. He sees Gunko going through with it, stabbing through Cullen before he can make it. Cullen says, I'll be strong. The kids cry out, oh no, Cullen. Scopper. He stops. Gunko sees this. And Scopper, tearing up, says, don't do it. I yield. He drops his axe, putting his hands up. I get it. I get it. There's no way you wouldn't. With that being his treasure, no. He cares so much about his son. And, I understand. Gabon thinks, I'm sorry, Elbath. Gunko removes her blade from Cullen's neck, points her blade at Gabon, saying, Feeble, fragile thing, and fires out 3 arrows into Gabon's chest, piercing right through. As Gabon falls off of Gunko's arrow, he says, sorry, Cullen. It must have hurt. I'm sorry. Cullen sees this, saying, huh? And cries out, Daddy, Daddy. But Chopper, he's intent on finding out what Gabon knows. As he goes racing off the edge, following Gabon, Cullen cries out, Daddy. Oh, huh. Cullen continues crying out, Daddy. The kids say, Mr. Ya. Cullen says, Daddy. Huh. Gunko has a memory of crying out, Father. Gunko says, What is this memory? And then she has a memory of herself as a child alongside Brooke. It says, well, it's my dream to be a pirate, you see. Is Brooke Gunko's father? Or did they just know each other when she was younger? How old is Gunko? Then again, Saturn was like 200 years old, so it makes sense that you wouldn't quite know. Because, yeah, Brooke says the resemblance is uncanny. So he does recognize her. Usopp says, think of a way to escape. And Brooke says, oh, pardon me. And Gunko thinks, Brooke. She goes racing over. Are you Brooke? But something happens in her mind. Summers isn't dead, of course. Oh, and killing him thinks, great Emu. Emu's voice says, what is taking so long? At the moment, the Holy Land is a sea of fire. The revolutionaries are attacking. That's why Shamrock was sent back. Dragon's making his move, and we're not even seeing it, of course. Hockey starts to emanate from Gunko. The kids shy away, saying, what happened to her? She looks so scary now. Im says, we need greater numbers. And channeling themselves through Gunko, says, allow Mu to show you the dominance of God. Yeah, there were theories that maybe Imu could channel himself through the elders, kind of like Vegapunk and stuff, with the satellites. But nobody was really certain about that. But maybe, it's a pact with like a devil, essentially. Imu's like the devil. You make a pact, and Imu can use your body as they see fit. Wow. Dude. Okay, Gabon has to be okay, though. I'd be pissed. But man, we haven't seen Luffy or Loki for a while. Did they not hear this announcement down in the other world? Because even Loki had a transponder snail. I guess maybe not. And finding out Loki idolized rocks. Or more specifically, Zebek. He has a lot in common with Luffy. And this really does show why Dragon backed away from his son. Because, like, look, anybody finds out this is my son, they'll go after the kid and use him as a hostage. Can't have that. And get as far away as possible. She might have even been an agreement when it came to Garp, too, depending on how many people knew. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and hope to see you in the next one. So then, take care. Bye-bye.